Hey everybody, just want to give a quick content warning before we get started. I do talk about abuses in power and abuses that pastors do, and you know what I'm referring to. If you've seen the Barbie movie, and who hasn't, am I right? You may remember this scene.
What I'm trying to say is, get in the box, you Jezebel! What, I can't say Jezebel now?
And they were right to gasp. Calling somebody a Jezebel has never been seen as a kindness.
Get out of town, you Jezebel!
You see, Jezebel was a queen in the Old Testament who had a bit of a reputation.
Now, I'm not saying Jezebel's easy, but before she moved to Sodom, it was known for its pottery. Ha ha!
What else you got?
And for a long time, it was socially acceptable to call women this term.
And where do you think you're going looking like a painted and powdered Jezebel?
But now, for good reason, it is quite frowned upon. But some pastors have figured out a workaround. You see, it's not that the woman is a Jezebel, but there is a Jezebel spirit on her.
Oh yeah? Well, you're a painted and powdered Jezebel.
Andrew.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for liking and subscribing and commenting and all the other wonderful stuff you do, because of course you're wonderful people who do wonderful things and are the best human beings on the planet. I'm getting worse at these. I put the links down below for the social media as well as the Patreon and the merch and all the other wonderful stuff, and I put a recipe for sweet potato soup.
Perhaps one of the most infamous women in the Bible. Her legacy is one of treachery, scheming, and manipulation. A legacy that's still at work today. So we're unmasking the Jezebel spirit and helping you break free.
Stand for God, and stand for God in these last days, because listen, the Jezebels are out of control. They're all over the place. They're all over social media. They're raging right now, and men need to know how to stand.
Okay, so who was Jezebel?
A power represented by the name of the woman Jezebel, who married Ahab. Jezebel was a worshipper of Baal. She was the daughter of Ethbaal, who was a Sidonian, and that word means to catch in a snare.
It actually just means someone from the city of Sidon. You know, the city that still exists today and people still live in. And Sidon is called that because it just means fishing town. So I guess if you really wanted to extrapolate from that and be really generous with the words, yeah, you could get to it's caught in a snare, but that is a huge stretch. And since you're the one following the Bible, according to the Bible, it's actually named after Noah's grandson.
And her father was a high priest of Baal, and they worship Baal, and they worship Ashtoreth, and they created all of these images and whatever. But primarily the key things behind that was sexual perversion, gender change or gender equalization, and also the sacrifice of children. And if you look, these are the current issues in society now that are right at the front of you, but they're old issues.
Or this is simply showing that gay people and trans people have always existed, and so has people's hatred of them. Also, he's implying that abortion is child sacrifice, which it isn't, and by extension that the Bible is against abortion, which also it is definitely not. But like I said, it's not as acceptable to openly call people Jezebels anymore, so instead there is a Jezebel spirit, or a Jezebel power, or a Jezebel demon.
They're new for us, but they're the reappearance of old spirits in the earth.
Because of course it isn't dehumanizing at all to say that someone's actions are because they are being controlled by a demon.
He's passive. His name is Ahab. He's got a wife. She's seductive and controlling. Her name is Jezebel. And they're up against the prophet of God, Elijah. And so we're saying that these are not just three people who used to live, but the spirits that empowered them continue their work in new days. Today, the Ahab spirit would cause people, but especially men, to be passive, indifferent, silent. It causes people, but oftentimes women, to be like Jezebel, domineering and high controlling. And what happens is, if you tolerate, they will dominate. That's how the relationship works. And then there is Elijah, filled with the Spirit of God, up against the spirit of Jezebel and the spirit of Ahab.
Okay, so you can see where this is going. Either it's that men are insecure that some women have power, or that there is a demon at work.
She likes titles where she's the boss. These people love titles. They love authority. They love to be in charge. They want to govern.
Oh, hey. At work, my boss, looks and talks exactly like a woman. I mean, the guy's going all out, too. He wears skirts. I mean, he's carrying a purse. He uses tampons. Yeah, I mean, he has tampons in his purse. Honestly, if he wasn't above me in the chain of command, I'd swear he was a woman.
Sounds like that's a woman.
No, son, you're not listening. He's my superior.
The spirit of Jezebel is a power, not just a demon. It is a power. It's given the name Jezebel because of where it originates or seems to originate, but it goes right back to the Garden of Eden, really. It's a spiritual power. And because it's a power, it's in the second heaven, and it operates through spirits that affect people's lives with various things.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's in the second heaven. Yeah. No need to go further on that one. That's just common sense, really.
And it's neither male nor female. Spirits are neither gender. They're not male, they're not female. They work in men, they work in women. Wherever things are out of God's order and control and domination come, there is the spirit working.
That's right. They are not being sexist at all. This can be male or female.
One important note I want to lay in the groundwork of the foundation here is that Jezebel can be male or female. So when I'm saying her, I'm talking about male or female. Spirits do not have genders. So understand that this could be equally a man as it is a woman. So don't sit there and say, oh, there's a woman in my church like that. Oh, there's somebody like that. I know a lady. No. The Jezebel can be working in men. I've dealt with Jezebel over and over and over and over again in men. So please do not think that this is a message to all the women and all you men can just root in the background and say, yeah, preach it. Because Jezebel works on men and works on women.
Number one, it can operate in men and women. I remember doing deliverance on one guy. It's on my YouTube. You can see it in another city, and it was a spirit of Jezebel that was bringing lust in his life, and he was a guy.
Let's check out your Playboys, huh?
Oh no, Scott, those are Prey Boys, the Christian-themed youth magazine.
A man or a woman can have an Ahab or a Jezebel spirit or tendency. Some women are controlling, some men are controlling, some men are passive, some women are passive. In my experience, it's oftentimes men who are more Ahab, passive, those women in relationship with those men, more domineering, overbearing, and controlling.
It's usually women, but it's not always women. So we are golden here.
A Jezebel can also be represented in a man.
Right. A Jezebel can come to a man, but the man cannot live with that spirit for very long, literally. It causes heart issues, heart problems, heart attacks, and various heart ailments that take place in the man.
It's true, actually. Look at all the scientific research around this demon.
Guess it's just dust in the tumbleweed. Oh!
But yeah, there is nothing sexist about this.
Today's talk is 29 signs of the Jezebel Spirit. So we're going to put up a number, and if you'd like to send in a photo of your girlfriend or ex-wife, we'll pick 29. Amen? I thought that would be funny. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Some of the dudes are like, I got it. Okay, so.
Nothing sexist at all.
Things that the Jezebels hate. Are you ready? Okay. Some of you are like, no, but I'm sending this to my wife. Great. Oh, that's fine too. So.
No sexism found.
I was like, your attitude is birth control. So, I mean, it's like, nobody's going to sleep with that.
Nope, that's not sexist.
We are seeing the rise of the divine feminine, and what we're seeing is a downplaying of Christian manhood today.
It's not at all that these men are just afraid of strong women. There is a demon, and they have to get rid of this demon.
They hate men. Again, the Jezebel tendency can be in a man or a woman, but how many men does Jezebel in the story respect and honor? 0. She dominates her husband. She attacks Elijah. She murders the prophets of God. She closes the Bible teaching schools. In addition, there's a guy named Naboth, and she wants to steal his land, so she murders him. Every man she comes in contact with, she's a black widow. She is unsafe and dangerous. She hates men.
And you know who needs to fight this demon? Men. Strong, manly men.
And he made man in his own image, and beholdeth the image of God.
Oh, shit.
We've been talking on our main channel about Jehu and how he stood against Jezebel. And I think what we need today is we need men that'll stand up against the wickedness and the Jezebels of our day. Hang on a second, gotta eat some steak.
Good for you. Standing up for what really matters.
And this thought came in my mind. You better not address this spirit. This is a strong spirit. You don't want to rile this spirit up. And it's like fear came in the room. And then the Lord said to me, I'm stronger than this spirit. You tell this spirit to get out.
Not pretend. Promise.
If you are a believer, then you've enlisted on an army. You are not a grasshopper. You are not a pansy. And
ooh, don't say that.
You are not a wimp. You have been called and you have been anointed to declare all-out war.
What it's saying is, don't be a pushover. Don't be a pansy and a pushover.
Wow, okay, so we're all just going to say it. Cool beans alert.
Get something inside you. Don't roll over and take stuff. You can learn to get some fight inside you. We're called to be overcomers. That's why it says, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. It's a spiritual strength.
So what is this war that they are fighting? What does this Jezebel spirit do?
What would you say you do here?
You feel depressed? You may be under attack of a Jezebel spirit.
And then that's that look from Granny across the room that everyone withers and shuts up. How did she do that? The look. How could she give a look and everyone suddenly complies? And no, that's a spirit.
Frequent and unusual sicknesses and frequent and unusual accidents.
If you're trying to do Christmas with a Jezebel and their extended family, they are going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to be here at 8. We're all going to open gifts. Then we're going to have ham. Then we're going to do this. You're like, well, can we talk about it? No, I've got this. Here it is. I wrote it down. Do what you're told.
You need to be very, very careful of people who want to be your friend. You're rehearsing your speech to this person over and over again. It's probably a Jezebel spirit that you're dealing with.
Basically, if there's anything you don't like or you don't understand, it just gets all clumped together and it's a Jezebel spirit. It's a great way to dismiss people you don't like and to feel like you're a God warrior at the same time. Perfect plan. But there are a few running themes that beat out all the rest of them. For instance, it messes up family structure.
Alone together, living alone together. And what it is, it's a husband and a wife that stay married, but they live in 2 homes. They have 2 homes, 2 bank accounts, 2 schedules, 2 routines, 2 lives, and they only come together when she says it's okay. We've now got an entire growing family structure, marital structure to accommodate Ahab and Jezebel relationships. We actually have a name for it. Living apart together. And what that is...
Question though, why do you care? This isn't your relationship. You don't live there. If they are happy and healthy and the kids are happy and healthy, why does it matter to you? It seems to me that you're upset that 2 people who love each other in a different way than you're used to. Yeah, that tracks for your type, doesn't it?
The whole thing in the last 40 years has been an attack on God's order in families, to destroy what God intended in terms of covenant and in terms of relationships and order and the structures of authority and understanding authority.
Bart, you're the man of the house. Lisa, I'm promoting you to boy. Maggie's now the brainy girl. Toaster can fill in for Maggie. And Marge, you're a consultant.
And so it attacks all of that so that husbands withdraw from their responsibility, become passive, wives become insecure, rise up and have to manage everything and are left uncovered, unprotected, and attacked by spirits of fear. Because the men didn't rise up and take their leadership properly and love and minister their wives and act as an intercessor. When Jezebel was brought to justice, it was Ahab who was confronted for allowing it to be there.
See, a Jezebel spirit is the type of spirit that a wife may have, even though she may not mean to do it, but she's constantly emasculating her man by trying to constantly usurp his authority and exercise dominance and control over him.
Don't cry, you emasculated sock puppet.
It's that spirit where this man wants to be, he's trying to be the man of his home, he's trying to be the spiritual leader, but his wife.
My wife. You thought I wasn't going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it every time. Because from Borat.
Consistently is going against his authority and basically doing her own thing to exercise her own control, her own dominance over him.
I hate the nagging wife trope. I hate it so much. You see, the reason your wife wants you to do things around the house isn't because she's naggy or trying to be a pain or trying to be a domineering, awful person. It's because she has this wacky belief that you love her and that you entered into a partnership with her, and that maybe the two of you should do your fair share to keep the house running smooth. But these people want you to believe that it is a domineering Jezebel spirit. And I'm not saying there aren't abusive wives. There are, and it's sad. Abused men deserve to be believed and heard as much as abused women. But that's not what they are responding to. That's not what they're saying. This is men being upset that their wife now has a say in how her life goes and how her children are raised. This is men being upset that when they don't step up and do things that need to be done, their wives are calling them out for it. This is men being upset that their marriage is a relationship and their wife isn't just a maid and a babysitter that they get to have sex with whenever they want. And preaching this causes bullshit like this to happen.
I feel like to young women, unironically, they need to find a man that's very misogynistic. If you at all want to have a guy that's going to like make you follow his frame, and you need to find a strong Christian man that's going to put you in your place, or else you're going to dominate the relationship. And when a woman dominates the relationship, it's destined for failure, because I see even how I was different, like in my previous relationship. I was dominating and I was such a bitch, like such a Jezebel. And, you know, I wasn't always like a good wife or like this great, or even Christian. I used to be atheist, but he has completely transformed who I am and how I act because he's such a strong Christian man and he doesn't let me get by on things. He always will nitpick everything because he's literally training me how to be a good Christian wife. You need to be trained. Women are bitches and they need to be trained.
This is aimed at the younger generation. They are trying to keep this stuff going. But that's one of the main traits of a Jezebel, according to these people. It's all about control.
They operate through, this spirit is a manipulating, controlling spirit.
These are the two categories that Jezebel tries to control. Everyone and everything. Those are the two categories. And what you'll find is if you tolerate a Jezebel in one area, they're moving on to the next. Some of you have dated these gals, been married to these gals, done business with these gals. Like, well, I'll just let them control the schedule. They move on to the checkbook. I'll let them have the checkbook. Great. Then they're going to take the kids. They just keep going. Their goal is like Satan, to rule and reign, to be sovereign, to operate over everyone and everything. And as long as you tolerate, they will continue to extend their rule and reign. It is spiritual warfare.
Or they're like just making sure that things get done. Maybe they're a type A personality. Fun fact, I know that there's type A personalities, but I don't know how many more there are. I have a theory that it's only type A personalities that know how many letters there are.
Jezebel was a control freak. We must understand that control of people is a sign of witchcraft. Control of people, dominating, intimidating, manipulating, is a sign of a Jezebel characteristic.
We aren't being sexist. Oh, no. But also, bossy woman, probably a witch.
You gotta play it safe, you never know. You
gotta be sure.
What if she's a witch? What if she's a witch?
Also, this is why I find it so ironic when these pastors get called out for doing something awful, and then they say it's a witch hunt. Maybe if you're the ones who still believe in witches and still actually accuse people of being literal witches, you don't get to use that term. And yes, I know there are people who call themselves witches. I'm just saying magic's not actually real.
You may not be comfortable calling it Jezebel Spirit because Bible doesn't say Jezebel Spirit, but it's her lane, okay? It's her world. The fruit of the Spirit is self-control. The fruit of Jezebel is people control. It's controlling everything else.
In addition, they will control time. These are all ways to control.
They're time lords? Okay, that's cool.
Hello. I'm the doctor.
They will intentionally be late to a meeting, or they'll show up early to set the environment to control it.
Oh, it's just that some people have bad time management, and also some people are kind of rude sometimes. And according to them, they use this control to get close to leadership so they can take them down from the inside.
It's him! Victor! We lost him, goddamn! I got him! Where is he? He's calling from inside the camp!
If you are in authority, she hates you because she hates authority. She wants to be in authority, will not be under authority. In fact, the Holy Spirit reminds me the name Jezebel means without husband. Now, she's married, but she doesn't act like it. She's fiercely independent.
You can be married and also be independent in areas of your life, especially when it comes to your career.
Of course, when they're near the leader, then what they'll do to everyone under them is like this, is they'll talk negatively about the leader's faults. Oh, they're really good in this, blah, 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 blah. But, there's this, and they'll uncover the leader, and they say, but I'm here to kind of fix it. God's put me here for this, and so they're very super spiritual, spiritualize everything, and you feel like, they seem to know God so well. No, they don't. They've got a familiar spirit. They're demonized. They don't know God well. They're just putting on an impression, so it makes you feel like you're not spiritual.
Okay, so this one is layered. There are people who do this. There are people who use underhanded methods to get people to question leadership.
When the bosses are aware, the little mouse will play.
Aren't you the boss?
Well, yeah, but,
Do you call yourself a little mouse?
Sometimes, someone has to be the mouse, otherwise the expression doesn't work. You know what, Joe?
There are also leaders who are terrible and are hurting everyone under them with their terrible leadership abilities. So there are people who are going to talk about that.
I learned that someone here doesn't respect me. But it's not about me. Because if you don't respect me, how can you respect this school? You can't. It's mathematically impossible.
And also, there are people who nobody listens to for whatever reason, even though they actually have good ideas and could be a good leader, but for whatever reason, people just don't trust them.
Ian, would you please tell my assistant to get into the booth?
Oh, I don't tell women what to do. I allow them to make their own choices.
Thank you.
There are many reasons why people don't trust leaders and will talk behind their back. But from what I can tell, based on the fact that there is no evidence for the existence of demons or spirits, it's probably not because of Jezebel.
Because we are filled with women. Joe's a woman, right? Joe, so
Yeah.
why don't you tell the girls what you do?
Sure. I live only to serve a man, and that man is David.
Satan is a strategist. So if there's a person who's going to lead 10 people to Christ over his lifetime, and there's another person who's going to lead 10,000 to Christ, whom do you think he's going to attack the most? Satan is smart. He is smart. I mean, he's evil, but he's smart. So he is going to attack a leader. And the larger your church grows, the more the Jezebel spirit's coming after you. I promise you.
The reason pastors of large churches fail and turn out to be awful people isn't because they are being attacked by a spirit. They fall for the same reasons that a big YouTuber would fail, a musician would fail, an actor would fail, because they believe their own press. They think they are above the rules. They don't need to be a decent person because they aren't a regular person. They tell themselves that they deserve all this acclaim. They tell themselves that it is okay to use their power to get themselves something a little extra. Even if it's wrong for most people, they're special. People look up to them. It's okay. They justify it because power corrupts. They think that all the resources mean they won't be held accountable. And then, if you start telling them that it's not their fault and the reason they mess up is because they are so important that the devil put a target on their back and tried to make them slip up, you are only reinforcing their ego trip and making it possible for even more of these pastors to do horrible things.
So they had these Bible teaching schools. She closed them. That's literally cancel culture.
This is cancel culture run amok.
She canceled the Christian schools.
I don't think that Jezebel canceled Christian schools because Christ hadn't arrived yet, but I could be wrong.
Elijah is a preacher. She's trying to kill him, literally deplatform and silence him. Her goal over and over and over is to control platforms. Anywhere there is a leadership position, she's either going to take it over or she's going to tear it down. That's what they do. Either I'm in charge or it's getting burned to the ground. These people will burn a church to the ground. They'll burn a ministry to the ground. They'll burn a business to the ground. They'll burn a family to the ground if they don't get to be in control of the platform. If I'm not the boss, there will be no boss.
Mark Driscoll hates cancel culture because he was the quote-unquote victim of cancel culture himself. And like in most cases of what people call cancel culture, it was really just consequence culture. Mark Driscoll is a bully, and he's always been a bully. He's always been reported to be very quick to anger, very authoritarian in his leadership style, and in 2014, he was ousted from his megachurch for being verbally abusive to his staff, creating a culture of fear, while also it was discovered that he had made a fake name online that he would use to go on sexist rants, including calling women penis homes. And around the same time, he was shown to have plagiarized a large portion of at least one of his books. So he had to resign from that church, but then he did what all pastors do when this happens. He went on a crying apology tour and started his new church.
We can take him in. Mega church minister to accused plagiarizer and misogynist. Tonight, a controversial author and Seattle pastor hoping the Valley will become home to his newest venture. ABC 15's Nick Van Zandt is following the story. And Nick, Mark Driscoll not making any mention of his controversial past with his old church.
No, only thing that he is saying is that he wants to have a new start here in the Valley.
But this time without any accountability, where he is in charge and he makes all the rules. Apparently, one of those rules involved kicking out the family of a teenage boy who kissed his teenage daughter and telling the rest of the church to shun this family. Ironically, all of this behavior sounds a lot like what these people are describing as a Jezebel spirit.
How dare you! Who in the hell do you think you are?
But when you say that anyone who disagrees with you is being influenced by a demon, it removes any actual self-reflection and any actual change. And it gets way, way more sinister than that. They say that any form of sexual attraction or sexual thought or sexual actions are not the fault of the men, but the fault of the Jezebel spirit on a woman.
One of the things that characterize this Jezebel or Jezebel spirit is sensuality. It says that she was deceiving people into committing sexual immorality. So a Jezebel spirit is first and foremost a person, more than likely a woman, who is very seductive in their sexuality, so much so that they are encouraging or tempting or leading people astray in the area of sexual immorality.
Why Billie Eilish, dude? She's like half your age. She was a child when you started this channel. I think this is way more telling of you than it is of her. She's even in the thumbnail.
And this could be done in a lot of different ways, right? One of the ways could be you're posting inappropriate pictures of yourself online. Posting pictures of yourself in two-piece bikinis and all this stuff as a Christian woman, and you're not realizing that you might be causing people to lust.
Post what you want. You're not responsible for other people's thoughts. People can choose what they look at. If you're the person looking at that Instagram post, don't be a creep.
This one's eyes are dead, but this one's eyes are alive. What do you call her?
Oh, her name
Do not tell him her name.
Okay. Every day you have the opportunity to not be a creep, and it's always up to you.
Or maybe you're dating a guy and you're tempting this Christian man to have sex with you because, after all, you can't think about getting married to this guy until you've tried it out, until you see how he can work it in the bedroom. And so as a result, you got to really test drive it before you buy.
We strongly believe in teaching and practicing abstinence.
We all have some crazy urges from time to time, but you just can't act on them. You have to bury them way down deep inside. You have to say, get out of here, you crazy urges. You are not welcome in this brain of mine.
If two adults want to do sexy stuff, then that is up to those adults. This is why we need comprehensive sex ed in school, so we don't have people blaming sex drives on demons.
Who keeps ringing the doorbell? We're pretty sure it's a demon.
Every man has got a hook. And every man has got a certain bait that Satan will put on that hook.
And sometimes all you have to do is master that bait, and then you're fine. And you can move on.
For some men, it's fame. For some men, it's power. For some men, it's money. For most men, it's pleasure, especially sexual pleasure. If a beautiful woman will flirt with you, that's great. If she will initiate with you, that's amazing. If she will undress for you, that's incredible. And if she will do exactly what you want every time, you think to yourself, that is the most tasty bait I've ever beheld.
Oh my God, ew, David.
And just know this, there's always a hook. She's fishing. She's fishing for you. She's fishing for you. And that's what she does with Ahab, and that's what she does in Revelation at Thyatira. Whatever your pleasure is, she will bait your hook. And what you think is, man, she must really care about me. She's giving me what I want. You've been fishing, she's going fishing. She is going to bait your hook with what you want so she can get that hook in your mouth and reel you in and club you to death.
It's funny because he always tells men to be men. He's always saying things like man up. It's even the theme of this conference that he's giving this talk at.
Hey, welcome to Real Men. We're so good, so glad, so excited to see you guys.
But instead of manning up and admitting that they need to take responsibility for their own actions, they say it's the women's fault for tempting men.
But the truth be told, what we need today is we need some young men who will stand up like Jehu and say, we ain't standing for that no more. We ain't allowing that in our kingdom. We're not allowing that in our home, and we're just not going to do it.
A Jezebel spirit in a female knows that they are in a strategic position because if they attack a man, he's in a lose-lose scenario. If he goes Ahab and takes it, he loses. If he pushes back, she says he's domineering, overbearing, unloving, controlling, hurt her feelings, and she's a victim, and he's a Jezebel, and he loses.
Or maybe she knows that every day she has to make choices about what to do. She has to make a choice when a man tells her to smile because she has to decide if he's the type of man to be violent if she doesn't smile, or if he's the type to start stalking her if she does. She has to worry about which parks she can jog in and when. She has to wonder if that man is walking in the same direction as her or if she is being followed. She has to finish her full drink before she goes to the bathroom, and she can never look away from it. She has to share her locations with her friends when she gets in an Uber. But sure, men are the victims in a lose-lose scenario. You absolute buffoon.
Many prophets, apostles, and pastors have been attacked by the Jezebel spirit, and oftentimes many of them do not survive the attack. They end up committing adultery. They end up getting into perversion. They end up getting into money scandals, and that spirit drives them to insanity. There's been a couple pastors recently that I highly look up to, and I found out recently that they've been caught up in sexual immorality. The spirit of Jezebel has come against them. They've fornicated, they've cheated, they've done all these sexual perverse things, and they've opened up the door to Jezebel because they could not handle the pressure that Jezebel was bringing.
He doesn't say he highly looked up to them.
There's been a couple pastors recently that I highly look up to.
He says it in the present tense. He looks up to these men. These people would rather defend the people who do these terrible actions than to condemn them and support the people they hurt.
I've watched it over and over and over. Pastors get caught in perversion, caught in money scandals. The spirit literally drives them to insanity. They end up losing their ministry. They end up losing their family. They end up losing their dignity. And like Elijah, they end up running out of town somewhere, trying to put the broken pieces of their life back together. That is the spirit of Jezebel. We cannot tolerate or be afraid of the spirit or the people that have it. Anytime we fear a spirit or a person more than God, we are saying that that spirit is more powerful than God.
You see, the ironic thing is that the Bible doesn't say to beware of those who tempt the people who are totally of God. It says beware false prophets. It says you will recognize them by their fruits. But these people hate the idea of taking accountability for their own actions. It's not that these were terrible people who loved the money and power they got from these positions. It's that they were men of God who Satan targeted.
I'll never forget the first time we had a very tiny little core group. I was in my 20s, young pastor, didn't know what I was doing. I mean, our church is like the size of a Mormon family. It's like not a big deal, you know? And so we finally get a gal comes to the ministry. She's a really great, gifted, talented musician. And she walks right up to me. My wife's standing there, ignores my wife, completely ignores my wife, comes up, grabs my hand, looks me in the eye, and introduces herself. Jezebel. She said, Pastor, I just would really love to get a cup of coffee. My wife is an Elijah. Right? So she got in the middle. She's like, you need to leave forever. That's my wife, you know. So
it's not a great story.
Yeah, I had a pretty uneventful childhood.
Pastors love to tell nothing stories as if they're war stories. This is simply a story of him meeting a pretty woman who wanted to help with his ministry, and he's still telling it 20-something years later.
And I was like, honey, how'd she said, I know those women. They go right up to the leader, they get real close, they tell their sad tale, they suck you in to rescue them, and then they seduce you. I was like, thanks for telling me. Right? Thanks for not looking like Elijah, but thanks for acting like Elijah, sweetheart. Right? If you're a leader, you know exactly what this is like. You're like, wow, they are dangerous and seductive.
Greater sexual temptation could mean you're being attacked by a Jezebel spirit. I remember about 5 years in the church when I started being attacked by a Jezebel spirit. I told Debbie, I told some spiritual mentors, I told the elders, I'm having sexual dreams.
Can we bring back shame?
Also, seniors can be pretty ornery.
Actually, I think it's pronounced horny.
And I'm having sexual temptation that I haven't dealt with in years. And I didn't realize it at the time. I look back on it now. And if you're having greater sexual temptation, you need to pray and see, is there a Jezebel spirit close to me in somebody?
What it sounds like to me is that he was attracted to someone and blamed her or him for his attraction. So maybe go to marriage counseling or just go to therapy. Maybe just spend some more time with your wife.
You two just need a bone.
Maybe create a buffer between you and that person in a way that doesn't hurt their career. I'm not the sexpert here, but I'm pretty sure there are many, many, many more reasons why this may have been happening before a demon did it because Satan thinks you're a great leader.
Remember, you can be gracious with the person. You can't be gracious with the spirit.
Bone! What happens in my bedroom, detective, is none of your business. Bone!
Potiphar's wife, Ahab, Jezebel, or Elijah? Jezebel. Every day, I mean, he's in the castle. She shows up. She's like, let's do it. And he's, no, I can't do that. I love God and I love your husband. So then she says he goes to prison. That's the narrative. He was innocent. He was Elijah. She was Jezebel. He didn't do anything. She lied about everything. What a Jezebel likes to do is get very emotional, very loud, tell their story first, get on social media, make sure they're setting the story because it's a form of control.
This is such a dangerous message. Don't believe the victim because they are actually being influenced by a demon to lie about them. No matter how many pastors are arrested on a regular basis for doing horrific things, no matter how many pastors have to step down for doing disgusting acts, give the pastors the benefit of the doubt, not the person coming forward.
And police say church members of the pastor's current church knew about his prior sex crime conviction, but they hired him anyway.
Jesus made it very clear. He pretty much pulled the curtains and said, this Jezebel, she seduces, listen to this, my servants with sexual immorality or to commit sexual immorality. Now, we see how many servants of God and pastors get seduced and fell into sexual immorality. I am not in any way going to point fingers or throw stones because I myself am in the same danger to come under discouragement. And I feel like when the enemy can't take you out by wearing you out, then the enemy changes the tactic through seduction.
Hey, just a quick announcement. Don't spend any time alone with this man.
When Jehu came to destroy Jezebel, she came out of the window and she put makeup on, okay? This wicked queen, she wanted to seduce Jehu.
Makeup? Ugh, disgusting.
The Revelation chapter 2 says clearly, "Seduces my servants." That means she's after the preachers. She's after the ministers, the evangelists. Why is she after them? If she can't wear them out, she's going to seduce them. Why? Because when a person in the place of authority, in the place of influence falls, their fall doesn't just attack their spouse, influence and affect their spouse. It affects those that believed in them, followed them, knew them. When great preachers like Ravi Zacharias, when great preachers like, recently, not long ago, Carl Lentz, and so many others throughout the history that fell into sexual immorality, the kind of damage it did to other believers.
Okay, first of all, Ravi was not a great speaker, not a great thinker. He just used recycled apologetics and circular arguments. He wasn't lured or seduced into his actions. He created the scenarios where he could abuse women. He went to them, or he hired them for his businesses. He was a predator. The woman Carl Lentz was caught having an affair with didn't even know he was a pastor. He lied to her and he manipulated her. He also sexually abused the family nanny. She didn't seduce him. He's just a bad person who thought he was above the rules.
The damage it did to the name of Jesus was way bigger than if somebody, an ordinary Christian, committed the same sin. Not in any way am I saying that these sins didn't damage those families, didn't cause huge pain to those families. And I'm not in any way saying that these men are not held accountable and they shouldn't repent. But we must understand, please pray for your pastors. Pray for the preachers. Pray for God's servants. Okay? Because the higher God takes them, the more the enemy wants to attack them on those heights, so that when they fall, great is their fall, and many can be affected by them.
This is exactly about excusing horrendous acts, or at the very least, excusing hypocrisy. Remember, you will recognize them by their fruits. And over again, we see that the fruit is rotten to the core. Jimmy Swaggart was found with a sex worker. He wasn't lured or coerced into anything. He just went out of his way to be a hypocrite and to cheat on his wife.
It was last week the Assemblies of God office reported they were reviewing allegations of misconduct by Reverend Swaggart involving a prostitute on Airline Highway in New Orleans. Those accusations of sexual activities reportedly came from Reverend Marvin Gorman of New Orleans, who was ousted by the church 2 years ago. This past Sunday, Swaggart went before a capacity audience of 7,500 worshipers at his ministry headquarters in Baton Rouge and on national TV to admit his guilt.
You that are nameless, most I will never be able to see you except by faith. I have sinned against you. I beg you, forgive me.
When Jim Bakker sexually assaulted a woman, he wasn't seduced or forced into it. She didn't want it at all. He was just a sex criminal, but he went to jail and came back and was given a new platform where he sold buckets of food.
One of the biggest thing they make fun of me about is the food buckets. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. They have whole websites laughing, mocking, and
you cannot allow that stuff in your spirit, though. Thing is, you can't.
I'm just telling you, I believe it's satanic.
It is.
And he sold his fake COVID cures.
Well, Jim Bakker and his Southwestern Missouri church settling a lawsuit accusing the TV pastor of falsely claiming a health supplement could cure the coronavirus.
And we continue to see these men in power take advantage of that power.
Bishop Eddie Long, the head of a megachurch outside Atlanta with some 25,000 members. And now 2 of them say he had sex with them when they were just teenagers.
The founder of the megachurch Hillsong, Brian Houston, has resigned after an internal investigation found he behaved inappropriately towards 2 women.
According to the Chicago Tribune, an independent advisory group that reviewed the allegations against Bill Hybels found that claims of sexually inappropriate words and actions are credible and that the well-known pastor should have faced discipline if he had not resigned. The report states that Hybels verbally and emotionally intimidated both male and female employees.
These men are not the victims. They are not the targets because of their great gift from God. These men are the predators, and people are seeing them for who they truly are. They are recognizing them by their fruits. All the Jezebel Spirit is an excuse. It's an excuse to why they don't want powerful women around them. It's an excuse to why they won't listen to criticism. It's an excuse to explain why they were exposed. It's an excuse to take more power, and it's an excuse to abuse that power. It's an excuse to absolve themselves of any accountability. Demons aren't real, but the accusations seem credible. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for making it this far. If you know somebody who may benefit from watching it, send it their way. You all have a wonderful day. Love you.
Work, Sky Moon.